that's what it's really coming down to. 50 Cent had a record deal before he got shot, but nobody ever heard of him. He had beef with Ja Rule, nobody ever heard of it. Ja Rule was still a superstar, nobody even knew who 50 Cent was. He even had beef with Jay-Z, one of the biggest people in the rap game right now, but no one still knew who 50 Cent was until he got shot 9 times. So a lot of it is just, like I said, it's the industry in which was created was founded upon, you know, inner city, I guess, issues, but now it's became a sense where everything is no longer a sense of, you know, the inner city is what's affecting hip-hop. It's hip-hop is now affecting the inner city. If hip-hop shows, you know, violence, now the inner city is transformed to be violent. Cities that might not have even been violent, to be honest with you. I know, just giving by example, I lived in Harlem for 18 years of my life, and the first time I had a gun placed in my face was in York City, to be 100% honest with you. And I would have never thought that in a city like York, it would be anything that was that violent when I first arrived here. And 18 years of my life living in one of the toughest cities in the country, I've never had that experience until I came to such a small town like York, Pennsylvania. And a lot of it is not to say, well, you know, it's just a tough neighborhood. It's that when you got hip-hop telling you that, you know, certain areas are so tough, or when you have, you know, a city that's surrounded by the Philadelphias, the Baltimores, the Washington, D.C.s, the things of that nature, you know, when you have a city that's smacked in the center between those, they feel like they got an image to live up to themselves. So sometimes they say, you know what, I want to be hood, or I want to compete because of the fact that these other surrounding cities right now are seen to be more higher or more powerful than we are. And that goes right back to my point in which I was talking about, you know, a lot of it just comes from ego, where you feel like you've got to compete. There's no longer a sense where you can say, I'm inferior to another man. You've got to be the best. And unfortunately, some people are willing to die for that. Quick question, to the ladies out there. If, hypothetically speaking, if someone hit you when you were in school, and you went home and you told your parents somebody hit me, what would be the first thing that your parents said? Naja?
Tell the teacher back. Hit him back.
What was that?
Hit him back.
Hit him back. Fellas, if somebody hit you in school, or probably something that most of us could relate to, somebody stole your bike, what was the first thing that your parents said when they found out?
Why don't you go get it back?
Get it back. And I think that a lot of it is generational, where I know, like me personally, when I come home and, well, it wasn't my mom saying it, but when my brother's like, you know, like, you got hit, you should go back there and hit him back, that already like creates that psyche that it's because something was taken away from me. My manhood was taken away, and I'm now inferior to the next man, and as long as I live, I'm going to think that somebody's better than me. And that's sad to say what it comes down to. I remember there was a report that was released, I believe, last semester that said that 50% of teenagers in educational institutions have all said that they've been bullied one time or another throughout their experience. That's 50% of all teenagers have been bullied.
What I want to know is why all too often today is the response, and I'm going to disguise my language, somebody ought to have kept that Maryland farm.
Somebody what? Kept that mother.
You want me to translate? Somebody ought to go kill him. And I mean literally, not figuratively. What I think, and I'm 63 years old, all right? I grew up in Washington, D.C. All too often, the response that we see today among far too many young people is not, let's fight. It's, I'm going to kill you. It's not, I want to get revenge, I want to kill you. I mean, literally. That is what I think perplexes me, and I understand 90% of what I saw. I grew up in the inner city of Washington. But this preoccupation with killing people boggles my mind. I don't get it. For over what I consider to be minor indiscretions. You stepped on my shoe, you bumped in my shoulder. I'm not going to step on your shoe and bump on your shoulder. I'm going to kill you. I don't get it. I'll give you another real world situation. I happen to know of a situation where a group of people were having a party one night. And some people came to the door, and the people who were giving the party would not let them in. Can you figure out the way the rest of the story went? The people who were not let in went and got their heat, and they came back and they fired up the people who came to the door. Explain that to me.
Are you relating that to the incident that happened at California University, Pennsylvania?
That situation that just happened at Cal State in Pennsylvania with Omega Psi Phi fraternity, it happened with my college fraternity 15 years ago. I don't get it.
And I think if you just touch base on a point that I know many people believe, where it's a sense where the players change, but the game stays the same. Like the same way you said it happened a long time ago, it just happened, and most people really didn't even know that it happened at this university. That was a school shooting that happened in Pennsylvania, which
last weekend,
a student, I thought it was a couple weeks ago, but yeah, but a student basically was killed over the fact that, you know, someone couldn't get into a party, they felt disrespected, and they came back with a gun, fired a couple sprays, and it wound up hitting somebody that it had no intention of. I think that the student that it hit wasn't even a student at the university, he was actually a student from Atlanta, Georgia. And basically somebody came out to a party from Atlanta and lost his life at a school that wasn't even his. But I think a lot of it just falls back on, I think now I'm going to take off some of the answer. A lot of it falls back on what I said about, you know, your ego and how I guess like it's perceived, because when, say for instance, somebody bumps me, if my mentality is, you know, kill or be killed, I could bump them back, but you don't fight fire with fire, you fight it with water. So somebody's now going to do something that's even a level up, then I'm going to do something that's a level up, and someone's doing something a level up. My thing is that I'd rather skip all of those steps, and if the end result has to be that I'm killing somebody, why would I let myself go through all of this? Why not just get straight there? And I think that that's what comes down to. I know there's so many incidents that I could like say right now where it's a sense of, you know, somebody's ego was hurt and it was completely indirected. I know there was a student last semester named Bobby Tillman in Georgia. And Bobby Tillman basically, you know, he heard about a party with a couple of his friends, gonna be a small little get together. He decided to go to the party. Just got off the phone with his mother, everything. Apparently at this party that got bigger than it was intended to get, two girls had a fight. And I guess during the fight, one of the girls involved in the altercation, I guess, swung a wild punch and hit another individual that was happened to be a male. Now this male felt that, you know, I can't hit a female back. So what he decided was that the next guy to walk through the door, he was going to beat the living daylights out of him. That next guy to walk through the door, his name was Bobby Tillman. Bobby Tillman walks through the door. Not only did this guy swing on him, the rest of his friends also joined into the action because they felt if my friend is fighting, I have to do it as well, regardless if I believe what the cause was. And in this case, there was no cause at all. And Bobby Tillman actually lost his life because of the fact that while he was being stomped on and punched, his ribs broke, and one of his ribs actually pierced through his heart. So you got, and what made it so monumental, which is why I stuck in my memory, is that 2 days later, his mom went on national television and talked about the incident, and to see the strength of a young black mother after she just lost her child that she just sent away to school, that she just talked to on the phone an hour before he was murdered, to see the strength of her to be able to get up there and talk about that, and talk about, you know, it's something that needs to change because of the fact that all it was somebody felt some kind of way about the incident that happened at a party and took it out on somebody else, where it's like he had no other outlet that he knew of where he could deal with it other than fighting. I think that we gotta always date everything back to hip hop. I think that it goes along with the sense where the ego swinging back and forth, where it's like I have to prove that I'm better than the next man. It just results in, you know, I got hit by a female, but for me to feel more like a man, I've got to take my anger out. I can't just hold on to it. People look at it as a concept of energy where it's never destroyed, but it's transferred from one being to the next. He felt that I'm angry, I need to do something to release this energy, regardless of how it's done. So to answer your question about, you know, why people feel like it has to go directly to picking up a gun was because the way the mentality is right now is that it was going to get that way. It's just that now it happens at a shorter time rather than over a length of time. We have a question?